Something is coming. And I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and pay very close attention to what I am about to tell you. Because this is not your average weather story. This is not a passing shower. This is not a little bit of rain on a Tuesday afternoon. What is building right now across the United States is a severe weather outbreak of a scale that we have not seen in a very long time. And tens of millions of people are directly in the crosshairs of what is about to unfold. So stay with me, because every single word I say in this video matters. And by the end of it, you're going to understand exactly what is coming, exactly when it is coming, and exactly what you need to do to stay safe. Let me start by painting a picture for you. Right now, deep in the atmosphere, something is shifting. A powerful storm. The system is organizing itself with a kind of intensity that meteorologists do not see every single year. The ingredients are all coming together at the same time, in the same place, and when that happens, nature does not hold back. We are talking about a collision of forces, so perfectly aligned that the atmosphere is essentially being loaded like a gun. And when a trigger like this gets pulled, the results can be catastrophic. Strong tornadoes, destructive winds, very large hail, and a threat that is going to stretch across the heart of America for not just one day, but multiple rounds over the course of this week. More than 100 million people are going to feel the impacts of this system. Let that number sink in for a moment. 100 million people. That is almost a third of the entire United States population. And this is why I need you watching, sharing, and staying prepared, starting right now. So what exactly is happening here? Let me break this down in a way that makes complete sense, because understanding this setup is genuinely critical. A strong low-pressure system is in the process of developing and intensifying across the northern plains, and it is going to make a dramatic push eastward into the Midwest over the coming days. Now, a low-pressure system by itself is not necessarily the end of the world. We see them all the time. But this one is different. This one is special in all the wrong ways. Because at the same time that this surface low is strengthening, there is an incredibly powerful jet stream running across the upper levels of the atmosphere, pumping, where storms are going to be firing. And beneath all of that, a deep plume of warm, rich moisture is being dragged northward from the Gulf of Mexico, spreading across the central and eastern United States, and creating an environment that is almost perfectly primed for explosive thunderstorm development. Now here is why that combination is so dangerous. When you have strong, low-level winds pulling moisture northward, and then you have incredibly strong winds at higher levels of the atmosphere rotating and turning in a completely different direction, you create something called wind shear. And wind shear is the single most important ingredient when it comes to tornado formation. It is the reason that supercell thunderstorms develop the violent rotating updrafts that can eventually produce tornadoes. And right now, the wind shear values that we are looking at for this setup are not just a little elevated. They are through the roof. The low-level jet stream is cranking. The upper-level flow is screaming. And the directional change between those two layers is extraordinary. If you are a storm chaser or a meteorologist watching this setup come together, you are not sleeping well right now, because what this atmosphere is capable of producing is genuinely frightening. And before we go any further, I want to be very clear about something. I'm not here to scare you for the sake of scaring you. I'm not here to exaggerate or sensationalize. Every single detail I am sharing with you is rooted in real data, real atmospheric science, and real model output that meteorologists across the country are analyzing right now. The storm. Prediction Center, which is the agency responsible for issuing severe weather outlooks for the entire United States, has already placed a large area under an enhanced risk of severe weather. That is a level 3 out of 5 on their scale. And when the Storm Prediction Center puts out an enhanced risk, they do not do it lightly. They do it because the data is telling them something serious is coming. Cities like Kansas City, Jefferson City, St. Louis, and Indianapolis are sitting right inside that enhanced risk zone. And surrounding that enhanced zone, there is an even larger area under a slight risk and a marginal risk, stretching from Minneapolis all the way back toward Pittsburgh. All hazards are on the table across a truly enormous portion of this country. Now let me walk you through how this week is actually going to unfold, because this is not a one-day event. This is a multi-day, multi-round, severe weather outbreak, and you need to understand the timeline so you can prepare properly. The first round of severe weather is going to arrive on Tuesday. And look, compared to what is coming later in the week, Tuesday is the smaller of the threats. But I still want you paying attention, because all hazards are going to be possible, even on Tuesday. A weak surface low is going to push into the region, and it is going to be enough to fire some organized thunderstorms, particularly across areas like northern Indiana, parts of Michigan, and stretching into the suburbs of Chicago. If you live near the Chicago metro area, near Indianapolis, near Kalamazoo, or near Lansing in Michigan, you need to be weather aware on Tuesday afternoon and evening. Damaging wind gusts are possible. Large hail is possible. And I am not going to sugarcoat this for you. There's a chance of a tornado or two across northern Indiana and parts of southern Michigan during the afternoon and early evening hours. The setup is conditional, meaning it is not a guaranteed severe weather day, but the atmosphere has enough spin in it that if storms can get organized, they could produce some rotation. Tuesday is what we sometimes call a sleeper day. It might not look that impressive on paper. It might not be getting the headlines that Wednesday is getting. But sleeper days are dangerous precisely because people let their guard down. Do not let your guard down on Tuesday. But Wednesday. Wednesday is the day that has every single meteorologist in this country locked in and focused. Wednesday is the day that this entire outbreak reaches its peak. And I want you to understand just how significant this setup truly is, because what is coming together on Wednesday is one of the most favorable, severe weather environments that we have seen all year long. The storm. Prediction Center's outlook for Wednesday is already showing that enhanced risk stretching from Kansas City through St. Louis and up toward Indianapolis. But here's the thing. That outlook is almost certainly going to be upgraded as we get closer. The data keeps coming in, and the data keeps looking more and more threatening. There's a very real possibility that we see a moderate risk, which is level 4 out of 5, get issued for portions of this area before Wednesday arrives. And a moderate risk is a rare designation. It means the conditions are expected to be truly dangerous. So what is actually going to happen on Wednesday? Here's the timeline as best as we understand it right now. The morning hours could actually see some early thunderstorm activity across areas like the Quad Cities and northwestern Indiana. These early morning storms could bring large hail and damaging winds, and they deserve your attention. But the really explosive development is expected to begin in the early to mid-afternoon hours. Somewhere around 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, supercell thunderstorms are going to start firing, and they are going to fire in an environment that is loaded with the kind of energy and wind shear that produces violent, long-track tornadoes. By 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we are looking at the potential for a large line of thunderstorms, stretching anywhere from Milwaukee down toward Quincy, Illinois, and within that line, there is the potential for some incredibly dangerous embedded supercells. Now here is the critical variable that we are watching very closely, and it is something called storm mode. This is the factor that is going to ultimately determine exactly what kind of severe weather event Wednesday becomes. If the storms remain discrete, meaning if individual supercell thunderstorms can stay separated and organized rather than merging into a large line, then we are looking at a very high potential for significant long-track tornadoes. When supercells are discrete, they have the room and the structure to develop violent rotating updrafts. And in an environment like Wednesday, that rotation can become extremely intense. The significant tornado parameter values that we are seeing in the model data right now are remarkable. In certain areas, those values are off the charts for this time of year. And significant tornado parameter values at that level are the kind of numbers that are associated with violent tornado outbreaks. On the other hand, if the storms upscale quickly, meaning if they merge into a large organized squall line before they have a chance to develop fully as supercells, then Wednesday becomes more of a widespread destructive wind event. Squall lines can produce damaging straight-line winds in excess of 80 or even 90 miles per hour, and those winds are capable of causing catastrophic damage across a very wide area. Tornadoes can still be embedded within squall lines, but they tend to be briefer and less intense than the tornadoes produced by discrete supercells. Either way, Wednesday is going to be a dangerous day. The only question is exactly what form that danger takes. And that is why I'm going to be monitoring the data around the clock and keeping you updated as this situation develops. Geographically speaking, the tornado threat on Wednesday appears most concentrated across a corridor that runs roughly from eastern Kansas and central Missouri through central and northern Illinois into Indiana, and then pushing east into Ohio and Michigan during the late evening and overnight hours. Cities and areas that need to be particularly vigilant include the Kansas City metro area, the St. Louis metro area, Springfield in Illinois, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and communities across western and central Ohio. But I want to be very clear. Severe weather is going to be widespread on Wednesday, and nobody across the broader risk area should feel like they are safely out of the threat zone. Tornadoes do not care about city limits or state lines. They go where the atmosphere sends them. The overnight hours on Wednesday into early Thursday morning are also going to be extremely concerning. As the storm system continues to push eastward, the severe weather threat is going to track toward Detroit, toward Toledo, toward Columbus, and continue pushing through the overnight hours. And this is where I need to emphasize something that cannot be stressed enough. Nighttime tornadoes are significantly more deadly than daytime tornadoes. During the day, you can see the sky. You can see the rotation. You can see the darkness and the wall clouds and the signs that something dangerous is happening. At night, you cannot see any of that. You are relying entirely on warnings from the National Weather Service, alerts on your phone, outdoor warning sirens, and battery-powered weather radios. And if you are asleep, none of those things matter if you are not awake to hear them. If you live in any area that is under a tornado watch on Wednesday night, please do not go to sleep without having a plan. Know where your safe space is, keep your shoes by your bed, keep a flashlight and a weather radio within arm's reach. And if a tornado warning is issued for your area at 2 o'clock in the morning, get up and get to your safe space immediately. Do not wait. Do not look out the window. Do not go outside to see what is happening. Just move. Now, after Wednesday, you might think this outbreak is finished, but it is not. Thursday brings its own round of severe weather, and while it is expected to be somewhat less intense than Wednesday's event, it is still a significant threat that deserves your respect. As the storm system lifts northward into Canada on Thursday, a trailing cold front is going to sweep through the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic region, generating another round of severe thunderstorms. The primary threat on Thursday shifts more toward damaging straight-line winds, and this threat stretches from areas like Lexington and Kentucky all the way back toward New York City. Major metro areas, including Cincinnati, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and New York City, need to be monitoring Thursday's forecast closely. A damaging wind event in a densely populated urban area can cause widespread power outages, downed trees, and dangerous conditions across millions of people in a very short period of time. And then, just when you think the week might finally calm down, the weekend brings yet another signal for severe weather across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. The models are showing another organized storm system potentially bringing another outbreak of severe weather by Saturday and Sunday. We are going to continue monitoring this and provide updates as the details come into sharper focus. But the bottom line is this: we are in an extremely active period of weather, and it is not letting up anytime soon. On top of everything happening across the mainland United States, we also need to keep one eye on the Gulf of Mexico this week, because there is a developing signal that cannot be ignored. Conditions in the Western Gulf are becoming increasingly favorable for tropical development as we move deeper into June. Right now, the probability of a tropical system forming over the next 7 days sits around 30%, which is not an overwhelming number, but it is not something to dismiss either. The most likely scenario, if something were to develop, would be a tropical depression or perhaps a weak tropical storm forming in the Western Gulf near the Texas and Louisiana coastline. And even at that intensity, a tropical system moving onshore and tracking into Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia would bring with it the potential for very heavy rainfall and significant flooding. Total rainfall accumulations of 5 to 10 inches are possible across portions of the Gulf Coast region if this scenario plays out. For areas that are already dealing with saturated soils or elevated river levels, that kind of rainfall could lead to life-threatening flooding. We are going to watch this very carefully as the week progresses. Now I want to take a moment to talk directly about what you personally need to be doing right now, because information without action is useless. The time to prepare for a tornado or a severe weather event is not when the warnings are already being issued. The time to prepare is right now, when the skies are calm and you have time to think clearly. So let me walk you through what that preparation looks like. First, and most importantly, identify your safe space right now. If you are in a house or a building, your safe space is the lowest floor. In an interior room, away from all windows. A bathroom, a closet, a hallway. These are your options. If you have a basement, get to the basement. If you do not have a basement, the interior of your lowest floor is where you need to be during a tornado warning. Get there fast and stay there until the warning expires or until you receive confirmation that the threat has passed. Second, make sure you have a reliable way to receive warnings. A battery-powered or hand-crank weather radio is one of the most important tools you can own because it will sound an alarm and wake you up even if your power is out and your phone is dead. Make sure your phone has wireless emergency alerts enabled so that tornado warnings automatically push to your device. Follow your local National Weather Service office on social media. Know the difference between a tornado watch, which means conditions are favorable for tornadoes and you should be ready, and a tornado warning, which means a tornado has been confirmed or is strongly indicated on radar and you need to take cover immediately. Third, have a communication plan with your family. Make sure everyone in your household knows where the safe space is. Make sure kids know what to do if a warning is issued when parents are not home. If you have elderly family members or neighbors who might need assistance getting to safety, check on them now and make a plan. Fourth, put together a basic emergency kit if you do not already have one. Water, non-perishable food, a flashlight, extra batteries, a first aid kit, copies of important documents, and any medications you or your family members need. If a severe weather event knocks out power for an extended period, which is very possible with an outbreak of this magnitude, you want to be ready. And finally, stay informed throughout this entire week. Weather forecasts are going to be updating constantly as this system evolves. The Storm Prediction Center's outlooks will be revised multiple times. Model data will continue to sharpen the picture. New information is going to come in, and some of it may significantly change the details of this forecast. That is the nature of severe weather. It is dynamic, it is fast-moving, and it demands constant attention. So please keep checking back, keep watching, and keep paying attention to your local forecasts and alerts. What is coming this week is serious. This is not a routine weather event. This is a significant multi-day severe weather outbreak that is going to impact more than 100 million Americans across a massive portion of this country. Strong tornadoes are possible, destructive winds are possible, very large hail is possible. And the potential for all of these hazards is going to persist not just for one afternoon, but across multiple days and multiple rounds of severe weather. The atmosphere is sending a very clear message right now, and that message is that this week demands your full attention. Nature is incredibly powerful. It does not negotiate. It does not give warnings in advance out of kindness. The warnings come from the work of meteorologists and the science of atmospheric observation, and they come so that you have the time to protect yourself and the people you love. So take this seriously. Share this information with your family. Tell your friends. Make sure the people in your community who might not be following the forecast know what is coming. Because something is coming, and now you know exactly what it is. Stay safe out there. Stay weather aware. And whatever you do this week, do not get caught off guard.